Namaste. A very warm welcome to everyone to the Vedic Astrology Masterclass series. I'm Ms. Jyoti. I'll be your host for this session. Today's masterclass will be given by Swami Sitaramananda. She will be teaching about Jyotisha counseling, yoga psychology, and Vedanta. Before we continue, I would like to take a minute to share a few hygiene points. The class will be for about 50 minutes, post which the Q&A session will start. Any questions that you would like to ask can be typed in the comment section. The technical team will relay the questions for the speaker to answer them. Before I hand it over to Swami Sitaramananda, I would like to take a minute to give you a brief introduction of our foundation. The Raman and Rajeswari Research Foundation was founded by Dr. B.V. Raman and his son Sri NIRANJAN BABU in 1983. The foundation is non-profit, endeavoring to revive, rejuvenate, and promote the study of Vedic astrology, Vastu, Yoga, Ayurveda, Vedanta, and other related Indian sciences. Under the leadership of its current chairman, Sri NIRANJAN BABU, the foundation has emerged as a pioneer in the advancement and digitization of Vedic astrology. It has developed and distributed free astrological software, digitized astrological content, and undertaken path-breaking research in Vedic astrology, including use of artificial intelligence, big data, spatial analysis, etc., and making it accessible to the astrological world. The foundation has also funded and supported various Vedic activities like building temples, sponsoring Vedic marriages, etc. The foundation has established a fund to honor pioneers in the field of Vedic astrology. The eminent list of scholars who have received recognition by the foundation include Dr. David Frawley, Dr. T.S. Vasan, Dr. Bill Levesey, Dr. Aralu Mallige Parthasarathi, Swami Sitaramananda, Swami Sukhbodhananda, and Sri D.N. Munikrishna, to name a few. Till date, the foundation has organized over 100 events, including conferences, lectures, seminars, and workshops, and has received tremendous support from the press and public alike. If you would like to stay informed about the activities of the foundation, we encourage you to visit our website www.rrrf.in or join our Telegram channel. Now, I take the pleasure of introducing today's teacher, Swami Sitaramananda. Swami Sitaramananda is a senior Acharya of the International Shivananda Yoga Vedanta Centers and is director of Shivananda Yoga Farm, California, and Shivananda Yoga Resort and Training Center, Vietnam. She is Acharya of China, Taiwan, and Japan as well. Swamiji is the organizer and teacher of the Shivananda Yoga Health Educator Training Program, an 800 hours program on yoga therapy accredited by the International Association of Yoga Therapists. Swami Sitaramananda is the author of Essentials of Yoga Practice and Philosophy, translated in Chinese, Japanese, and Vietnamese, Positive Thinking Manual, Karma Yoga Manual, Meditation Manual, 108 Yoga Health Tips. Swamiji said, a collection of teachings by Swami Vishnudevananda in his own words, as well as two poem books. She is responsible for the Vietnamese translation of the completed illustrated book of yoga by Swami Vishnudevananda. Swamiji is an ardent supporter of the integration of the Vedic sciences such as Vastu, Jyotisha, Ayurveda, Yoga, and Vedanta. Before we begin the session, kindly note again that any questions that you might have for our teacher today can be typed and posted in the comment section. At the end of the session, the speaker will answer them one by one. We will now begin the masterclass on Jyotisha counseling, yoga psychology, and Vedanta. Dear Swami Sitaramananda Mataji, over to you.
Namaste. I will say a little prayer before we start, and then I will do a little PowerPoint. And during the PowerPoint, I believe that I will be jumping the slides, just for you to know, because we have only 50 minutes, and it will be difficult to follow all the information in there. So are you ready? So I'm Swami Sitaramananda, like Jyoti has presented me, and I'm very honored and happy to be here to talk to you from California. And I'm not a Jyotishi, but I use Jyotish a lot in my work. I'm a Swami, I'm a director of ashram, so I contact with a lot of people, with students and residents and staff. And so I use a lot Jyotish. Every day I use Jyotish in my counseling to people. So throughout, I have been using Jyotish for more than 20 years. And I found it very, very important to be able to combine yoga and Jyotish and Vedanta and Jyotish. So I'm going to share the slide now.
Click it. Sure.
Okay, so the talk today is about Jyotish, Vedic Astrology, and Yoga Psychology. So now I start with the mantra first. The short mantra. Om Sahana Bhavatu, Sahana Bhunaktu, Saha Viryam Karavavahai, Tejasvinavaditamastu, Ma Vitveshavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Bolo Satguru Shri Shivananda Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Bolo Shri Vishnu Devananda Maharaj Ki Jai. So yoga is the best remedial measure. So in Jyotisha is the word remedial measure. So it's one thing to see the karma and to see the weakness and of the chance, but also we need to tell people what to do. So here is a listing of different books of our lineage. Our lineage is Shankaracharya Saraswati lineage. And also our Sadguru Swami Shivananda and our Guru Swami Vishnu Devanji. And the knowledge is passed through Guru Parampara, even though in the Shivananda organization, I'm the only one that use Jyotish integrated in the knowledge of yoga. I use a lot also for the counseling in yoga therapy. And we have a course there, a very advanced 800 hours course. So Jyotish and yoga and Vedanta are complementary knowledge. Yeah, Jyotish, as you know, is a science of light. Yoga is a science of mind. And Vedanta is a science of self. Yogis need Jyotish to understand the mind and to adjust their sadhana. Jyotishi needs yoga to know how to help change samskaras, some typo mistake, and karma. So Jyotishi understand that karma indicated in the birth chart can be remedied by yoga training with a self-knowledge path. So today I try to present some of this. And Jyotishi will help the purification of the individual by advising yogic practices. That's part of the purification path. By explaining that experience in life and circumstances lead to wisdom, by guiding individuals to work out their karma in the best possible way, not creating new karma, by helping people to be self-aware of one's karmic tendencies, one's strengths and weaknesses, and the Jyotishi help people to know the mind but not identify with it. So it's called detachment. Jyotishi need to do counseling spiritually, holistically, and intuitively, as Jyotish is a Vedic spiritual science. So the steps for counseling in general. So when people come to you and they have some kind of crisis, so the counselor or the Jyotishi needs to interpret positively why the negative situation or conditions are in fact positive and give words of assurance. and then calm the mind. The moment the client accepts, understands, and becomes aware that his or her shortcomings are temporary and are self-created and therefore changeable, there is hope. The mind thus calms down. And number 3, peace of mind. The moment the mind calms down, the individual regains his remembrance of one's own self and regain perspective. So that is something that we need to discuss, and something that you need to experience, is that there is always the call it the inner ruler, yeah, or the Atman, the inner ruler that is sitting within everyone. And then the karmic situation is there, and that would take our mind away, but we need to remember back the inner ruler. Then at that time, everything becomes more clear. Detachment from karma and its manifestation in one's life comes as a result of this remembrance. The person endeavors to do conscious practice or yoga sadhana. So the moment they understand it's their mindset that create the problem at the first place, then they can maybe be more inspired to do sadhana or spiritual practices or yoga practices, which we will explain during the talk today, so that they can find true happiness and peace through realization of his or her true Atman. So you can see how Jyotisha is very important, because it shows the strength and weakness of people clearly. And then at that time, it helped very much their awareness. Awareness means they themselves, they know their weakness. Yeah? And they themselves, they know that they are not really completely lost in the karma, in the karmic situation. That they are consciousness and they are present. Yeah. All Vedic sciences help the individual to be aware and to self-transform in order to be free from suffering and rest in our true nature. Jyotish is a science of light. It helps the individual to be aware of their own karma and their own mindsets and personalities. To work out the karma the most effective and painless way, so that they can be successful in life and grow in self-development. And second is to free in the individual from the veils and the distortion of the mind to find our true purpose. So the mind always is distorting our view about ourselves and about the universe. So that's a Vedantic teaching. So then we need to yoga endeavor to calm the mind down so that we be able to connect with the self, to be able to see things clearly. And Jyotish will be helping us to see what's our tendency, what's our weaknesses. So the idea is we have to be detached, yeah, and to be present, to be concentrated, to be present. So the methodology that I use is I try to match the planetary weaknesses and strength with the classical yoga path. So you have to know what is the classical yoga path and what the requirements, and you have to know the planetary weaknesses and strength in the client, and then you match the two. Okay, so I would give the requirements and the benefits of the 4 classical yoga path, matching them with the weakness and the strength. In some of the examples I will show, and we will give example of strategy for counseling that would bring light to the karma. Okay, so it's a very big endeavor here. I hope you realize it, but I just gave you a little idea, how to do it. So first you have to know the 4 yoga path. That is a classical yoga path that is outlined in the Bhagavad Gita, in the scriptures. So you can see the tough one here is Jana Yoga path. That is an intellectual path, climbing straight hill, very fast, very strong to go to the truth, which is the top. Yeah, but also you might easily fall down. Okay, and Raja Yoga path is climbing. It's tough. Yeah, it's a path of the strong. And then Karma Yoga path is a little bit easier because you don't have to think too much, and you have to be selfless. And Bhakti Yoga is an easier path, which is a path of devotion. And all the paths are combined, in fact. Yeah. So in the beginning, you have the certain peculiarity of your personality, then you need to choose a path. But then the more that you go high, then the more they come together. And when you are on top, then you become perfect in all the different aspects of your personality. So Swami Shivananda says, serve, love, give, purify, meditate, realize. So here is a little summary of the different yoga paths. Yeah. The Karma Yoga, path of selfless action, serve the self in all. Bhakti Yoga, the path of transforming emotion into devotion, love the self in all. Raja Yoga, the path of control body and mind, to see the self through meditation. Jana Yoga, the path of wisdom, to realize that you are the self all along. So temperament, Karma Yoga has to be practical and active. So that's what you have to see in the chart. Bhakti Yoga has to be emotional. You have to see this in the chart. Raja Yoga is a analytical, strong person, scientific minded. Jnana Yoga is an intellectual person. And the different practices we would outline, so I will not talk too much now. Okay. So we start first with a difficult path first, which is Jnana Yoga, the path of wisdom. It is difficult, so it's compared like the baby monkey that's hold on tight to the mother. Mother jump around, but baby has to hold, otherwise baby would drop. Okay, so the Jnana Yogi has to cling to the truth with the strength of his intellect, like the monkey baby. Okay, so that means a path of self-inquiry. I mean, you have to ask the question, who am I? And you have to figure out all the answers that are incorrect. Yeah, because the self, the Atman, is all the time present. But if you identify yourself with something that is called false identification, then you will not be able, then you'll be veiled, and you'll not be able to see the truth of who you are. So in order to do that, the student of Jnana Yoga or the practitioner has to develop the capacity of viveka, discrimination between the truth and non-truth, the transient and the permanent, and has to have a detachment attitude toward transient objects. And they have to develop 6 virtues we call calmness of mind, which we would go through later on, and have to continue to seek for liberation, called mumukshutva. So Jnana Yoga and counseling. So the Jyotishi need to understand Vedanta in order to make sense of the karma. I mean, to understand the karma, you have to know the self. The self is perfect and whole. Karma comes from not understanding that we are already whole, and from there that we have all kinds of problems, psychological problems like desire, ambition, comparison, egoism, false identification with circumstances, actions, doerships, egoistic doership, emotions, fear, anxiety, attachment to name, fame, social standing, relationship, seeking fulfillment in the external world. So these things happen. I just name a few, which are all the ordeals of our life, of our client's life, because we are not knowing that we are already perfect. So the Jyotishi is an instrument of the Atman to help the Atman to realize itself. So the self, that's what everyone wants to experience, is Satchidananda. Sat means is not coming, not going, not being born, but not dying. So there is no fear of death. And it's all the time there. It's a truth that is dwell within our heart. And the Chit means a consciousness. At the same time, that self, or that Atman, is knowing everything. So why we say that we don't know? Because we don't have the connection to the self, so we don't know. But the moment we have that connection through different practices, then we be able to connect, and then we know intuitively. Ananda is bliss absolute. That means perfect love. That means we are all expanded, we are all one. Okay, so that's the idea. So the Jyotishi, in order to guide people toward that. They also have to do practices in order for them to have that feeling within themselves. Then they would have to be, then they will be able to intuitively guide the students. So I gave a few words why that you need to guide the students toward self-realization. Is because it is said in the scripture that once the person realizes themselves, the miseries of this life disappear. Okay, that's a promise of the teachers and the gurus and the scriptures. Yeah, the miseries will disappear. Okay, so we use Jyotish and yoga and Vedanta in order to realize the self, and then all the miseries will disappear, and we are free. Even if the karma are inexorable, and sometimes most of the time we are caught in the karma because we are born because of karma. The change of attitude will help to alleviate the prarabdha karma, the current karma. Eventually will remove the sanchita karma altogether, the impressions in the mind. And the impressions in the mind being removed, then the projection of that impressions, tendencies of the mind in the future that create new karma will not reproduce. So the agami karma, the future karma also will be extinguished. So we need to explain to people that the darkness and suffering that they experience are coming from avidya. Avidya means spiritual ignorance, the lack of knowledge of the true self. We encourage people to take responsibility to free themselves from ignorance, by learning, by listening to scriptures and teachers, and satsanga, contemplation, by yoga practices. And we need to advise people in a sattvic manner. Sattvic means in the most positive manner as possible. The best service of a Jyotishi can give is the gift of sattvic knowledge. Yeah, it's like the Jyotishi become also a teacher of knowledge. Jyotishi can be this wise teacher who can convey the teachings of the scripture and help people to achieve self-realization. And tamasic counseling will block the knowledge. Rajasic counseling will distort the knowledge. So the Jyotishi try to avoid tamas and rajas. The four classical yoga paths are the way to sattva, purity, clarity, and knowledge. Only in purity, people awaken to the truth about themselves and resolve their karma. So the Jyotishi teach, in fact, yoga, Vedanta, but yoga here, please don't think it is exercise. Yoga is a science of union. Counseling clients to consciously change needs to go with the practical advices of the technique and the spelling out of the why and how of the changes of attitude and behavior. I mean, you need to, the Jyotishi have to spell out for the students what to do. Yeah, there are a large array of these techniques coming from the four yoga path. These give a definite positive direction in our counseling of people. So you don't have to invent anything new. Yeah, you just have to follow the scripture that already outlined the four yoga path. And you have to know the techniques and the change of attitude that is required. And we advise people in a practical manner. So the karma of the clients are represented by the 12 planets in their disposition and interaction. Jyotishi seek to understand the karma of the clients and lead them to self-awareness, moving from darkness to light. Interpretation of the birth chart and the possible best outcomes give power to the Jyotishi to somewhat alleviate and alter the karma, and this in the realm of what is possible according to their prarabdha karma. Okay, so now we start with the requirement of the first most difficult path called the path of wisdom. So it is said there are 4 qualifications. The first one is viveka, how to have discriminative thinking and intuitive thinking. So you need to look for a person in the chart that has deep focus of intellect, capacity of analysis and reasoning, to advise them to do Jana Yoga. Proper use of intellect and intuition is required. Okay, so you look for a spiritual chart. All the planets need to be strong. So it's the most difficult yoga path. So all the planets need to be strong. So they need to have a strong Mercury. Yeah, they need to have the Buddha Aditya Yoga, some Sun and Mercury together. That shows intelligence. And they need to be focused. Saturn, Mercury. Yeah, the pay attention Mercury also can represent the business skills, mercantile business skills, but this is not what we talk about. That's why you need to see overall the chart has to be spiritual. The Jupiter needs to be at a prominent place of the ruler of the ninth house. Ketu Mercury is very good because it represents abstract thinking, thinking out of the box or unusual thinking. Ketu Mercury is intuitive faculty. So this person will be able to intuit what is truth, what is not truth. But pay attention because Ketu Mercury means also, very edgy kind of mind. Ketu Moon. And but it shows a certain detachment there, which is very necessary for Jnana Yoga. The person needs to have a strong sun because in order, they have to have some self-confidence to do self-inquiry. Because if they don't have self-confidence, they do inquiry, I am not this, I am not that, then they might get confused. So that the strong sun is important in Jnana Yoga. That's why it says Jnana Yoga is the last yoga path. You need to be very stable mentally before you do self-inquiry. They need to have a strong Mars, the courage to reject the untruth. Okay, so Mercury and Mars is a quick intellect. I've seen chart of Jnana Yogi that have this, but Mercury and Mars need to be strong. It's not manipulation. So here in the book Notable Horoscope of respected the father of NIRANJAN Babuji, B.V. Raman, then on page 28, I hope that you have this book. Then amazingly, B.V. Raman has given the chant of Adi Shankaracharya. We try to reproduce, but the Navamsa chant, but it's not possible because maybe the time is not exact or something. So we just show the Rasi chant. In fact, I show only Rasi chant just to understand the strategy that I propose, but not really to go through in deep analysis of any chant. So the Adi Shankaracharya, he's the founder of the 10 monk orders in India. He's the most prominent teacher of Advaita Vedanta, the founder of the Four Math of the Four Corners of India. He won in all intellectual debates at that time. So his intellect is like very powerful. He has Buddhi Aditya Yoga, exalted sun, Viparita between 6th house ruler and Jupiter, and the 8th house ruler Saturn. So Jupiter and Saturn are there, linked together, and the 6th and 8th house are linked together. That's why he has this knowledge, and they win everybody in debate. He's very powerful. Moon in the 12th house of moksha. So he talked, the only discourse that he talked about is how to liberate oneself through knowledge. Jupiter aspecting Moon, Gajakeshari Yoga. Rahu is in the 11th house, so he deal with the society, the community, and travel the length and breadth of India, and talk to all the teachers to consolidate the knowledge, because at that time people don't get it, the Vedanta teaching. Ketu in the 5th house ruler. Ketu is in 5th house. Yeah. H means a house. Ruler is Mars. Is situated in the 9th house. You can see very spiritual chant. Jupiter aspect the 2nd house of speech. Yeah. So he teach. He wrote books and he teach beautifully. 3 planets, Sun, Mercury, Venus, aspecting the 4th house, which is a moksha house. He has great passion and devotion in his writings about the Divine Mother. You can see strong Venus as well. So it's not, Jnana Yogi is not a dry intellectual person, but he has also the Bhakti Yoga, the love and the very not only powerful mind and powerful intellect, but also very devotional. So another Jnana Yogi, Dr. Amit Goswami, he's a teacher at the university, he's a quantum physicist, consciousness teacher, and author of many quantum physics books. I think one book is called The Self-Aware Universe. So his books are amazing. So he has Aditya Yoga, Sun Mercury together in the first house. Gaja Keshari Yoga, again, Jupiter and Moon. Yeah, 5 planets in Dharma houses, if you calculated. The deep, quick glance, where the planets are located. And then the Yoga Karaka is in the 5th house. Yeah, Saturn. Yeah, he's Libra, so Saturn is in the 5th house, very strong. Saturn is retrograde. So he's a very deep insight about things. Strong Jupiter in Sagittarius, own house with Rahu. So, unusual way of thinking about truth. Basically, quantum physics means talking about the truth in a scientific manner. Ketu Moon, an intuitive quality in the 9th house in Gemini. He has the essence of intelligence and intuition. Okay, so we move on. So I hope it's not too fast for you. So now the other qualification that the Jnana Yogi need to have, that you need to see in the chart, is Vairagya, means detachment. Yeah, the mind should not be too much up and down. Yeah, not strong likes and dislikes, because that you cannot really detach yourself. So then you need to look at the attachments, you see, and help people from their attachment, because if too much attachment, they cannot see the self. Where Moon is our area of attachment. Okay, in the 1st house, attachment to what people think about you. 2nd house, attachment to money and relatives. 3rd house, attachment to self-will and communication. 4th house, attachment to emotion and to mother. 5th house, attachment to children, creativity, education. 6th house, attachment to disease, weakness. 7th house, attachment to partner. 8th house, attachment to miseries. 9th house, attachment to guru, father. 10th house, attachment to work and fame. 11th house, attachment to community and gain. 12th house, attachment to moksha. Okay, so of course it's more complicated than this, but you know the basic meaning of the houses, so I don't go through in detail. So you'd look for in the chart Ketu Moon. Yeah, it's detachment from emotions, non-emotional. So to be able to reason about the true nature of the self, you have to be non-emotional. You have to be bhakti, I mean, have devotion, but non-emotional. Ketu Saturn, strong detachment. Saturn Moon, turning inward. So you need to turn inward in order to see the self. And strong Sun, which is centered in the self. That is very important, that the Jnana Yogi has a strong Sun. It is attachment that binds us to the wheel of samsara. I mean, the wheel of birth and death. Detachment comes in many forms. Detachment means seeing the truth despite experiencing the drama of the world and the ego. Be the observer, be the witness. So the qualification number 3 for Jnana Yogi is Shat Sampat, or the control of the mind. Because the mind needs to be stable, yeah, in order for you to inquire and realize the truth. Okay, so number 1 quality is Sama. Sama means serenity. You need to have a good moon, good 4th house. Moon not influenced by Rahu Ketu. and which can be strong likes and dislikes. So the moon need to be kind of stable. Okay, and Dharma means control the senses. You need to have good Saturn controlling Venus, good Saturn controlling Moon, and Venus exalted, and that shows devotion. Yeah, so in not being swayed too much by the senses. And then Uparati means turning inward. Okay, so you need to be able to turn inward, not seeking for pleasure all the time in the external world, but turning inside. So Moon in the 12th house, Saturn Moon is an introspection. Sati period, you are forced to turn inward. Shraddha, faith, you need to have faith. You need to have strong Jupiter, strong Venus, strong 5th and 9th house, and its ruler. Jupiter, Moon, Raja Kesari Yoga, to have strong faith. Yeah, Titiksha is endurance. So you need to have strong Saturn, strong Mars, strong Sun. But you cannot really inquiring into the self if you collapse every time. You don't think properly into the root cause of the problem, but you collapse. You cannot carry on the thinking. And then strong Mars, so that you'll be able to endure the karma, and you'll be able to let go of the false truth. Yeah. Samadhana means you need to have mental balance. To have mental balance, never lose the idea of who you are, and you need to have good Moon, good Venus, good Jupiter, good Mercury, good Mars, good Sun, good Saturn. I mean, basically, your mind needs to be quite clear, sattvic, and stable. Okay. So in case you see people don't have this thing, then it's very good to advise them to practice yoga. Okay, so yoga in yoga life has 5 points and 4 paths. So just you can go and do research yourself, but how the asana will help, because the asana will slow down the restlessness and the reactive tendencies, and increase awareness. But you need to do asanas properly, with the breathing, with the concentration, the relaxation. And so asana as a meditative way. Pranayama is helping you to balance the energy and the way of thinking, the hemisphere of the brain. And savasana, yoga nidra, proper relaxation of body and mind, so that the spirit can reveal itself. And advise people to have sattvic diet, which will influence the mind, and positive thinking to replace the negative emotion with the opposite, to uplift the mind and to turn inward and to meditate. So this would give you this stability of mind that we talk about, that is necessary for self-inquiry. For the 4 path, then of course the Bhakti Yoga, the practice ahimsa, satya, brahmacharya, asteya, aparigraha, would help you to acquire tranquility. Dhamma, the discipline of the senses. In Raja Yoga, the practice of purification, contentment, austerity, will help you to control the senses. Uparati means Uparati means the turning inward. Then Raja Yoga, meditation. The Vichara means self-inquiry, and the Neti means a theory that if you see that something that is not the truth, then you can let go of it, and then you keep inquiring. Titiksha is a Raja Yoga, and Hatha Yoga would with the tapas, will help you to become strong. So you train your body to be strong, but in fact you train the mind and the intellect to be strong. Shraddha means Bhakti Yoga. You need to have strong faith and self-surrender. Samadhana means you need to do all this yoga in order for you to be stable, like we talked about earlier. And then the 4th qualification is mumukshutva. Mumukshutva means you have to keep carry on seeking the truth. You don't just settle down, and you just don't become lazy and complacent. they keep nurturing the desire to know, the desire to be free from samsara, the desire of liberation. So those who have a strong mumukshuttva, you look for strong Saturn, strong Ketu, planet in moksha houses, 4th house, 8th house, and 12th houses, planets in Pisces, ascendant in Pisces, the sign of ending of the cycle, planets in Revati, the final nakshatra, and the people that are in the Ketu dasha, which is indicate opportunity to liberate oneself from attachment. So how many more minutes I have? So now we show you the one another chart of a famous sage, Ramana Maharishi, and is a Jana Yogi, is a Vedantic philosopher and inquirer. So what you'll see here, his ascendant is Libra, and strong Mars is aspecting. Okay, so you can see the power of inquiry and rejection of untruth, aspecting Mercury. His Mercury is the ruler of the 12th house, sitting in the 2nd house in conjunction with ruler of the 1st. Okay, that is Venus. So, but Mars represents the courage. So it's necessary for a successful spiritual path, as it takes courage for a jnani to reject illusion, embrace the truth, going where no one has gone before. It takes courage and one-pointedness to overcome attachment, to do self-analysis, self-introspection in order to change. You notice the Ketu moon, yeah, in the 9th house, and that gave the intuition, and the Rahu sun in the 3rd house, yeah, that is a very strong sun in the house of Jupiter, enlarged sense of self. So that's that it is. The Atman is huge sense of self. Okay. So very quickly, chart of Albert Einstein. So he's a scientist, but he's like a jnani. You can look, then you see strong lord of the 5th house, which is Venus, is exalted. That helps him to give him higher knowledge. This knowledge can come from past life. The only way to get out of ignorance is through knowledge, according to great philosopher Adi Shankaracharya. Knowledge will set you free. Therefore, it is important to have good 5th house, 9th house, good 5th lord, and 9th lord. Okay? Albert Einstein spent his life looking for the truth about the universe. So Venus is exalted and is ruler of the 5th and the 12th. He has 4 planets in Pisces, and 4 planets in Pisces. Okay, and Venus exalted is conjunct with ruler of the 1st, which is Mercury. And he has a cancellation or debilitation, so he used intuitive knowledge. And Saturn is ruler of the 8th and the 9th. In that 4 planets group. Jupiter in the 9th house. Jupiter is a 9th house ruler. No, sorry. Jupiter is in the 9th house, but Jupiter and the 10th house ruler is in exchange. Viparita, is an exchange house, and the 9 and the 10. So Jupiter and Saturn is in exchange. His work and fame is related to his spirituality. Rahu Mars gives him a one-pointed, fearless mind, okay, in pursuit of truth, capacity to truly open oneself to God. Mars is exalted to God's will beyond the restrictive constraint of the ego. Of course, he doesn't use the word God's will, but to find the truth, to split the atom. His moon is debilitated and alone, but intuitive. Okay, Ketu Why? Because Ketu is in Cancer, so he has Ketu moon. Okay, the second path of yoga, which is a path of selfless service for people of active temperament. So you have to do renunciation, a result of action, offer your life and your skill, everything as sacrifice, dedicate to your dharma, detach from result, unconditional offering of your efforts. So Jyotish, indication of karma yoga in general. Quote from Bhagavad Gita: "Thy right is to work only, but never with its fruits. Let not the fruits of action be thy motive, nor let thy attachment be to inaction." So I would check the chant of Mahatma Gandhi later on. Yeah, he said, in a gentle way, you can check the world. So he's a karma yogi. But anyway, this is indication general, a strong mass for karma yoga, because there is an action. And Jupiter, indication of selflessness and courage, self-effort. 6th house need to be strong, ruler of first house in the 6th or in the 12th house of selflessness. Saturn, hard work and the masses. Jupiter aspecting moon, Gaja Keshari Yoga, so you do work, to serve others, serve wisdom. Jupiter in the 12th house can be charitable and selfless. Sun in the 12th house, identify with selflessness. Ruler of the 12 in the 12th, good 12th house, many planets in 12th house. Kama Dhamma Adipati, 9, 10 house rulers are in connection. Mohandas Gandhi, spiritual, political, moral leader. And it's also his analysis of his chant is in notable horoscope book of B.V. Raman, page 226. So please refer to that. Sun in the 12th house, aspected by Jupiter. Okay, so you can see Jupiter is 10 from Moon, aspected by Saturn. His B.V. Raman say he has considerable spirituality. Rahu Moon make him famous in the 10th house. Libra is rising with Mars, Mercury, and Venus. Mercury and Venus forming Raja Yoga. Mars has big influence for Libra, a sign of balance, and is conjunction with benefits. So his Mars is conjunct with benefits. So he's a non-violent person. Mars is 3rd from Moon, and Moon ham between Rahu and Sun. So aspected by Saturn. So he, difficult mental peace, B.V. Raman said. Ketu in the 4th house, Saturn aspecting 10th house, influences the masses. So the combination of these 3 planets in his Libra bring about these 3 doctrine that he teach. Yeah, Satya, Ahimsa, Brahmacarya. The Satyagraha, his campaign, is based on the insight of the soul, from the soul. Now, it's not a superficial Satya, it's a spiritual insight about the truth. So, Mother Teresa is another great karma yogi. Then what she got? She says something very beautiful. I'm a little pencil in the hand of the writing God who is sending a love letter to the world. So she's a karma yogi, but also she's a bhakti yogi. He's a founder of Mission of Sisters of Charity. She's a religious teacher, independent missionary with great power of conviction. So you can see her charm. Then she has Trikona Raja Yoga in 9, Sun Mars in 9th house, ruler of 9th house in the 9th house, ruler of 5th house and 12th house. So a very spiritual person. Rahu Moon in the 6th. I hope you can see the chart. Rahu Moon in the 6th house. So 6th house is a house of, basically it's a karma yoga. Yeah, to exchange the weakness with the Karma Yoga, driven to service. So she has a lot of Rahu Moon means a lot of emotion. Yeah, so she's called mother, the big mother, driven to service, unusual feeling about service and healing. Ruler of the first house is Jupiter, and Jupiter is in the 10. So she expands through work. She grows through work. Ruler of the 10th house is Mercury, exalted, and is its own house. She has success in her work. Ruler of first is conjunct with ruler of 10. Life is about work. So it's all about work, see? So that's why she's a Karma Yogi. Rahu in Taurus, 6th house, driven to Karma Yoga. Ruler of first house, conjunct with ruler of 7th house. So people, she's working with people. Saturn debilitated in 5th house, conjunct moon. So she worked with destitute. Her mind is introspective. And she worked with the children, the 5th house. She's called a mother. Yeah, the destitute. Saturn is debilitated there. The most difficult people, the downtrodden, the people that rejected by society, and so on. So ruler of the 4th house in the 10th house. So she gives service as a mother. She gives love. Okay, so now we move to Raja Yoga, which is the science of mind, the 8 limbs of yoga, the 8 steps of yoga, the people climb. There's a path of meditation, control body and the mind. So it's where the yoga psychology come from. Raja Yoga path is very much a yoga psychology. Remember, yoga is not asanas practice. And then it has the steps like pranayama, pratyahara, withdrawing the senses, dharana, concentration, dhyana, meditation, and samadhi, superconscious state, the 8 rungs of yoga. Dhyana, so I just give you a little bit indication here of what how to find in the chant people that are more capable to meditate or easier for them. So you have a moon Saturn, that means a tendency toward introspection, if not depression, turning inwards of the senses, controlled mind and one-pointed focus, Rahu Saturn, Mars Saturn. So they have to do that. They have to be able to control the mind and a very focused. The mind free from impurities and desires. They have to not having Rahu Venus or Rahu Moon, because it's difficult to meditate when your mind is just restless too much. Good heart, that you need to concentrate the mind, but you need also to open the heart when you'll be able to meditate successfully. 4th house has to be good, Jupiter there, generous and loving Dharma. The mind has to be relaxed. Relaxation is very important in meditation because you need to be open, so not close and tense. Then you cannot meditate really. Good moon, unafflicted, positive and expanded. Aspect by Jupiter, that's best. Have devotion, bhakti feeling, and have self-surrendering to God. Jupiter is a lord of the 9th house, aspecting moon, for example. Swami Shivananda is open, tolerant, enthusiastic, generous, full of love, very focused, and determined at the same time. A quality of a meditator. So Swami Shivananda Chan here. So Swami Shivananda Chan is quite amazing because his teaching is a synthesis of yoga, the 4 paths of yoga combined. So he's a Raja Yogi, Karma Yogi, Bhakti Yogi, Jana Yogi all together. And Swami, amazing, B.V. Raman has analyzes his chant in depth. It's on page 306, notable horoscope. So please look at it. I didn't write everything down here, but B.V. Raman has given the detail of the analysis of his chart. So Lagna Lord, the moon, occupying the 10th house, a Martian sign, but it is unafflicted, very important. His moon is completely clean, pure. Confers, so it's a ruler of the first, so he's a strong, strong body, active, dynamic personality, and endearing nature. So he's a really very popular and compassionate, and people love him. Parivartana between moon and Mars. Okay. Lord of the first and the 10th house. So he has a spirit of service. So he's a karma yogi. Association with Rahu, Mars, and Venus is in the first house. Normally is undesirable, but for Swami Shivananda, it shows mental control and meditation. Okay, so Mars is his yoga karaka. So for a Raja Yogi, you need to be very strong. You control the mind. So he has all this. Yeah. At the same time, he has a very sweet heart. Yeah. And he has a high intellect, but he also strength of mind of a Raja Yogi. Yeah. So Mars is his yoga karaka. Yeah. He's sitting with him. Yeah. And Jupiter moon in Kendra, yeah, so it's very strong, Gaja Keshari yoga. So then that makes him a saint. So now in the Raja Yoga system, there is 10 guidance of 5 things that people should not do because it will mess up their mind and they will not see the self. And 5 yamas and 5 niyamas. Niyamas, things that people should do to alleviate their tendencies, their karma, and bring them to vision of the self. So 5 conscious abstention. So you know that negative thoughts and emotions disturbing the mind, yeah, is the most important thing that we need to deal with. Okay, and it comes from past lives. I mean that you have this strong tendency, and you have to work with. You have to toil. You have to work very hard. So with the help of Jyotishi, people need to see this and weaknesses and try to consciously abstain. Okay, so the first is ahimsa, non-violence, abstention from violence and anger. Satya, abstention from untruthfulness and lie. Asteya, accepting what comes to you from karma, abstention from theft and covetousness. Brahmacarya, non-sexual and sensual indulgences or misconduct. Continence. Aparigraha, non-accumulation, no greed. So ahimsa, you will look in the chant, then you see, the emotion is anger. Look for tendency to anger, negative aspect on moon and the 4th house. Okay, so Ketu moon in the 4th house. Yeah, if the person is not spiritual, be able to go have insight, then it becomes disturbed mind. Okay, moon debilitated. Also, moon is ham. Yeah, a dark moon. I mean, too close to sun. Moon Mars, too fast, impulsive. Saturn moon, depressed. Mars in 4th house, it's too much aggression to the heart. Saturn in the 4th house, too much depression to the heart. Ketu in the 4th house, not be able to feel the heart. Okay, so then all this will make you become angry, because you cannot feel, you cannot fulfill. So then the anger is a desire unfulfilled. So therefore, the strategy is to let go of desires and expectation, to be more detached, to be less extreme, less involved in likes and dislikes, less impulsive, less intense. So that's what you counsel people to switch to devotion to Divine Mother. Then it will help people to control their emotion because they would surrender to the love of the Divine Mother. Ahimsa. So now we look at the chant of this terrible guy. Ted Bundy is a serial killer, sexual perversion, emotions under control, uncontrolled. So he has 5 planets in the 4th house. We just talk about how the 4th house is very important, very sensitive house. So he has emotional upheaval. He's lost in emotions. Yeah, he has moon Mars in the 4th house, aggression in your own heart. Ketu in the 4th house, disconnect to your own heart. Do you imagine? He's very, very, very unhappy person. Ketu moon, very sensitive, crazy mind. Yeah, it can go with hatred. Yeah, extreme. Sun Ketu. Yeah, he also don't have the sense of self. Ketu Mercury. So he's he's intelligent. He's intelligent there, but not stable at all. Saturn, ruler of 7th house, in the 12th house. Yeah, so losing other people. Sun is ruler of 1st house, is conjunct with Ketu and Mars. You see, so no sense of self at all. So Saturn in Cancer, the mind is oppressed. Moon is debilitated and dark, conjunct with Sun, cannot see and feel properly your emotions. Rahu in the house of Venus, so strong desire. And 10th house is ruled by Venus, so desire to be famous and sexual perversion. The lust is strong. Strength, in his strength, and then you have Jupiter in the 3rd house, Venus in the 3rd house, in own house. So that is his strength. Yeah. So I venture here, just to give an idea, I venture here the counseling. Let's say Ted Bundy come and see me, which is not probable, but let's say that he come and see me before he kill all these people. Then I see that he's a disturbed psyche, driven and intense. Okay, so I need to see how he can sublimate his passion, his emotions, and his psychic sensibility and anger through, because he has this strength in the 3rd house. I say through passionate creative art. That's his only chance. You have to come, and I said, you will have to come to the understanding that for you in this life, intimate relationships and partnerships is difficult and is a weakness. Okay, so I say that to him, so he be aware, so he doesn't have much hope. You have to learn to detach from it. So I said to him that he has to try not to deal with this, so you can strengthen yourself and not be lost by it. Because everyone, even if they are a criminal, they have the Atman within themselves. They have the light within themselves. So you have to pull that out. Yeah, you need to find a counselor or somebody close to him who is a mother figure. But you see, his 4th house is completely messed up. So his mother, his emotion completely messed up. So I say the case of a counselor, I mean somebody that is not his family member, is not his mother, but somebody that is sympathetic toward him, that is very strong, that is powerful, because his 4th house has a lot of planets, is powerful, and is not afraid, to tell him things, and then it's an authority figure to guide him, because he has too much subconscious emotional need to love. So that person has to show him love and have to guide him strongly. So then he has to learn to surrender to her strong guidance and to turn the hatred into love, thus releasing himself from hatred and anger. So that's the example how you can switch the karma, by giving something that will fit to the karma, but giving the positive aspect using the strength. So I think I have to go a little longer, because it's not possible to do this in 10 minutes. So the 5 niyama means the observances in the Raja Yoga, the self-discipline and sadhana and purification. Why you need to know this? Because it's very easy. It's already thought of by the yogis, what to do in order to get out of trouble. Okay, Saucha. So strengthening the planets. All the planets is to be stronger. will help replacing the old samskara, the negative thought tendency, with the new samskara. So you strengthen the planet. Santosha, so you look for contentment, okay? Good fourth house, good moon, Venus, avoid Rahu, Venus, Rahu, moon, which bring about discontentment. You need to have a healthy and strong prana. So strong house, strong first house ruler, in order for you to have prana, energy, in order for you to be contented. Yeah. And tapas, austerity, strong Mars, Saturn. Swadhyaya means study scripture, good fifth house, mantra house. You have to study so that you have some kind of positive example. Yeah, so otherwise you stay with your negative samskara and then you think that this is the world is like this and you are like this. No, it's not. So you have to study Vedantic scripture, study mantra. And then Ishvara Pranidhana means self-surrender, good faith, strong Jupiter and good house, good ninth house. Yeah, you have to surrender, that you don't think that what you think is a truth. Yeah, not big ego. Pay attention to Mars and strong Sun. So that is a big ego. So strong discipline happens through conscious repeated practice. So people need to be reminded again and again and again. Correct knowledge needs to be reinforced because the mind is very fickle, so you can change and forget. Strong Saturn, so that will help if you have a strong Saturn, so the endurance is there. Weak Saturn can be more tamasic, resisting discipline, or rajasic, angry. Rahu Saturn, hard work. It also have excessive control, can be obsessive. Strong planets are more sattvic. Okay, so you need to make the sattvic. All the planets become strong. Then at that time they turn sattvic. So Satya, the truthfulness, as opposed to fear and delusions and lies. You look at the Charles Manson. Look for indication of fear. Saturn moon, Rahu moon. Charles Manson is a famous cult leader, and also he killed everybody after collecting people, and then he killed people. So you see, he's a Rahu moon Saturn in 10th house with strong Saturn in own house. So he's a very ambitious person. Yeah. He's a very ambitious person. He wants to be famous. He's a Ketu in the 4th, so he's not really feeling his emotions. It's always about, his appearance, his authority, his name and fame. He's a strong controlling of other people. Saturn is aspecting the 7th house, all these people that he attracted. 4 planets in 7th house. Ruler of the 4th house is the moon. Yeah. And is with Rahu and, Ketu. Ketu in the 4th house. Ruler of 4th house is with Rahu and Saturn. So it's very disturbed also emotion. Yeah. Sun debilitated in the 7th house. Okay, so he identified with people. Yeah, he has cancellation, debilitation, but still, Sun is ruler of 5th house and is debilitated, aspected by Saturn. So, strength is ruler of 9th house and 7th house, ruler of 7th house, Venus in the 7th house. Ruler of the 1st house is Mars. In 5th house, ruler of 5th house is Sun debilitated. So I have a counseling strategy there for him. It's interesting, but we don't have time to follow through. So now Brahmacarya, which is one of the requirements in order for people to control themselves, is Asteya is all the problem with moon or create envy, jealousy. Brahmacharya is a purity to counteract lust. Okay, so I gave you 2-3 examples. Hollywood's actress John Collins married 5 husbands and lived a luxurious life. So anyway, to find if the person is succumbing to desire and lust, you look at the Rahu, okay, because Rahu represents desire. Look for passion indicator, Rahu Venus, Mars Moon. First house ruler is in the 6th house, or some kind of weakness there. Good planets is in all the good planets, her good planets, 6th house, yeah, is with Ketu, Jupiter, which is her planet ruler according to this chart. I have another chart, somehow she's different. But anyway, according to this chart, she's Pisces. And her planet ruler, Jupiter, is sitting with Ketu and sitting in the 6th house with Mars. And Rahu is in the 12th house, so strong 12th house, but in a negative manner, which is expenditure and pleasure of the bed. So Elizabeth Taylor, chart number 11 there. Elizabeth Taylor is a famous Hollywood actress with 7, 8 husbands. She beat the other woman. She has 8 husbands. Why we say 7, 8? One husband she married twice, Richard Burton, and she loved diamonds. So she has Rahu Venus exalted in the 5th house. Yeah, Venus exalted, but with Rahu, Venus being the ruler of the 7th house. That's why she has so many husbands. And 12th house, she lose them too. Her 4th house shows lack of contentment, so she has she doesn't have peace. She's quite restless actually, with Mars and Sun and Mercury, ruler of the 8th there in the 4th house. So her emotional peace is not there, contentment is not there. So Moon is in the 12th house of expenditure and pleasure in the bed. Yeah. She has a good Jupiter, a 9th house there, good Jupiter, but it can be, wealth, and it's a ruler of the 2nd, okay, and the 5th. So, I'm not sure she has a spiritual knowledge there, looking at the other thing. Aparigraha. That means you need to advise people not to be greedy, not to be attached, okay? So here is a chart. It's called a non-accumulation. Okay, so pay attention. Anything Rahu there, anything to do Rahu, then you have that desire tendency and greed tendency. Okay, so counteract by cultivation of contentment. Yeah, good Jupiter, Venus, self-surrender to God's will, acceptance. Good 9th house. Good 9th house Lord, strong female planets because it's more feminine, so more less taking, yeah, giving instead of taking. 12th house should represent charity, selflessness, and not expenses, consumption. Tapas, austerity, need to be there. Saturn, strong. Ketu, detachment. And so here, Imelda Marcos, she is a Filipino first lady, owner of 2,000 shoes. Just to give example, that means how much shoes you can wear at the same time. So you can see a Rahu Moon there, yeah, in the 11th house. She also bought many houses, yeah, and 3 planets in the 12th house of expenditure, and her planets is there. The first rulers in the 12th, and so let's move. So now I have a little analysis of the addiction, the phenomena of addiction that make a lot of people creating problems to a lot of people. I don't think we can follow, yeah, because we don't have time. But basically, addiction comes from an existential longing, seeking. So you look at the planets that show that everyone has that longing and seeking of the truth. So the addicted person as well, and then they have prana imbalance. Okay, so then you can see if you remedial to it by giving the person prana and balancing the prana through hatha yoga and through eating good food, it will help. And the third reason is relationship. Marilyn Monroe here, so she's addicted person, right? And then she has a lot of marital problem. She has a moon. She gave herself to the partner. Moon in the 7th house here, and the moon is Ham, and she's beautiful and attractive, but she doesn't have. She has Saturn in the 4th house, so it's very sad. And she's been abandoned, I think, by her mother. She has 4th house affliction, disconnected to her heart, give herself to the partner to find love, but then she end up, I think, dying from overdose. And okay, so she has relationship problems, so we can move on with this. And then the 4th reason why people become addicted is that they lack that sweetness feeling, the emotions, the contentment. So then you have Venus and Moon represent sweetness, Jupiter represents sweetness. Yeah, so if you don't have that, and that's when you seek it, through an addiction. And you have here Elvis Presley. Yeah, so he's addicted. He died from overdose, and he has Saturn moon in the 4th house. So he's also, he's sick for emotion there, but at the same time he feel oppressed. The Saturn moon there, so sad and not fulfilling emotion. He has Rahu Venus in the 3rd house. It make him an extraordinary singer and artist. He's been super smart, but Ketu in the 9. Anyway, you can see this is the sweetness is missing, and then 5th reason for addiction is missing a heartfelt love. Okay, so love you don't have. The moon afflicted, Venus afflicted, Jupiter afflicted, Rahu moon, Ketu moon, Rahu Ketu moon, Mars Venus, Mars moon, strong passion and egoism, strong Mars, strong sun can make that you don't feel anything. Yeah, you don't feel love because you are too strong. So 6th reason, not understanding the process of growth, which is you have to be more slowly more aware, and you have to be discriminative, and you have to learn to detach. That's the progress of the process of growth. But if you are impatient, and then you want all at once, and you are extreme, you want radical change, then it's a problematic. That's why people get into addiction, to get directly and quickly to what they want. But the balance is key. So you need to help people to balance themselves. Okay. And help people to have more endurance. So then this weakness of egoism is very big. This is Adolf Hitler. His chant is kind of famous. Okay, so sun exalted, issue of rigidity, inflexibility, despotism, stubbornness, selfishness, strong ego. So it can be a problem there. Ruler of the 1st is lost in planetary war. Okay, so he doesn't have a sense of self. His planet ruler is lost. And Mars is winning, and he has also Ketu moon, so intuitive, but he's good in propaganda. Jupiter in the own house and 3rd house, but he's quite an edgy person. He look like he's a good person because Jupiter and moon together, but Ketu is there. Ketu Jupiter, so some problem there. He's a leader, he's a teacher. Many people follow him. He wrote book and people follow him, but some kind of distortion there. So Saturn is Yoga Karaka, is look for power. So when people don't find satisfaction in the heart, they look for power. So they look for name and fame, recognition. You see, so that's why the 4th and the 10th are across from each other. So strategy of counseling. So I'm going to read this. It's interesting. Let's say Hitler come visit me. Then what I say? I look, I see he has a big ego problem. So I will try to strengthen his planet first, the Lord first, which is Venus, which is bruised, the bruised sense of self. Yeah, he's lost. He feels lost. Okay, by the desire to control, to teach mankind a new philosophy where he's absolute center of attention. That's him. Any genuine devotional love story with a female to practice Bhakti Yoga is helpful. Otherwise, practice devotion to strong mother figure, Durga Mata, Durga Mantra, that is strong enough to resist his martial values. This will be a good remedial measure to his distorted sense of self. And the second thing, I try to get him to ask himself questions, Vedantic inquiry about the true self. Hopefully, he will keep himself not get out of control by the illusion of grandeur and of power. He will need to teach not his own self. He need to teach not his own self-made philosophy, okay, but he need to see his self-made philosophy of unity, which is completely distorted, and racial supremacy, okay, but he need to learn the traditional philosophy of unity of self, Advaita Vedanta. He would have to understand that the other, the 7th house, is one's own self, and that self shines in all. So then that's the idea about Hitler. Martin Luther King, Ahimsa, so we can move. Hatha Yoga, the chant of Swami Adipa Shaktiananda. So how Hatha Yoga help? Yeah, the one thing I want to point out why I do this is because I need to point out that Hatha Yoga is not exercise, okay? It's not exercise. So Hatha Yoga is a science of balance, okay, and of meditation. So it's part of Raja Yoga. The goal is to control the mind and meditation. It's not exercise. So Swamiji has Rahu Mars in the 3rd house. So he's strong Mars here, but his Mars is debilitated. So he's inclined toward more non-violence. Okay. And he has 3 planets. Sorry, mistake here. 3 planets in the 5th house. So he like mantra, he like to study. And in the Navamsa chant, which I didn't show, he has 3 planets in the 8th house. Yeah, so he's seeking. He's a seeker, seeking the psychic knowledge. He has Ketu moon in the 9th. So he's moon in the 9th. So he's wanting spirituality. In Ketu moon, he has insight. So his mind, emotion can be imbalanced, but he managed through reasoning and through practice. So now this important knowledge I want to tell you is that the pranayama, which is breathing exercise, help directly to control the emotions, okay? And it helps to balance the ha and the ta, the sun and moon, and control the emotion. It's very good remedial measure in Hatha Yoga to do Anuloma Viloma. You teach people to do alternate nostril breathing, okay? Then it would balance the 2 flow of energy, that is the sun and the moon, and that is connected to the right and the left brain. It balances their personality like right away. Yeah. So if you can get people to do that, yeah. So people like Ted Bundy, if he can do that, it will help him a lot. Okay. So the way how you see people imbalances in their energy is you check the D2 chart. The D2 chart would put the planets in 2 camps, the moon camp and sun camp. If you see they are very imbalanced, some people have like all the 8 planets in the moon camp, 1 planet in the sun camp. You can see that they're extremely imbalanced, and then they are very emotional. Moon is the right brain, and sun is the left brain. They are not really very logical. And some people look like very logic because they learn that the way how they function is to analyze everything. Yeah, because if not, they become emotional, and then it's so they are logical, but not necessarily their nature is logical. Yeah, so actually it's a compensation. They are actually too emotional. And the last is quickly is how many minutes now?
1 minute.
4
1 more minute.
before 1 hour. Yeah. So the path of Bhakti Yoga. So you can see the Bhakti Yogi is like a little kitten in the mouth of mother, completely self-surrender, don't resist, are not afraid. So the Bhakti Yogi is like this, toward the Divine Father, Divine Mother, always relax, always surrender, always accept, know that, the Divine is taking care. So it's a path of pure love, of transformation of emotion to devotion. So it's good for people with emotional temperament. Yeah, so the practices: purify the heart, open the heart, detach from one's emotion, practice of self-surrender and acceptance, practice of humility, transform and uplift emotion through worship, rituals, kirtan. So it's a self-surrendering. So then you have Swami Prabhupada. Yeah, he's a religious leader, ISKCON founder, promotes kirtan and japa of Mahamantra. So Rahu in 10th house. No, this is this. Something's wrong here. Yeah, his Rahu is in the 2nd house, so that's why he promotes the japa, japa yoga. But he's a very spiritual. He's a very spiritual person. So I remind you, there's 9 ways how to increase the Bhakti Yoga, how to practice Bhakti Yoga, how to increase the devotion. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. So you need to learn this. And the 5 devotional feeling, that means the relationship with the divine. Shanta, Dasya, your servant. Sakya, you are a friend, you are a servant, and you are the beloved. So, so we don't go through too much, Pope John Paul II chant. So he has a, exalted moon, okay, good Venus free from passion, good Jupiter, exalted. So he has exalted moon, exalted Jupiter, and good 9th house. Yeah, he's Libra, so his Mercury is across from him. Venus, Ketu conjunct with Lord of 9th house and 12th house. In this case, his Jupiter is exalted. Bhakta Mata Amritananda chant. Then she's also, her religious leader, known as a hugging saint, perfect case of sublimation of passion and emotion. Yeah, with Rahu in the 4th house. There's something wrong here. The chart. Rahu in the 3rd. Yeah. Rahu work with Saturn. In fact, Rahu in the Saturn house, in the 3rd, but Lord of the 4th house, Saturn. So I analyze something wrong here. Something wrong because I have her as Libra ascendant, not Scorpio ascendant. So anyway, I have her as Libra ascendant and Saturn exalted in the 1st. So anyway, so you have to sublimate all the emotions and the passions into devotion. That's it. So click to exit.
Sure.
Stop sharing.
Thank you, Swami Sitaramananda Mataji, for the insightful class. Our audience definitely appreciated it. We now move on to Q&A session. The questions will come up on the screen. You can kindly read it out loud for the benefit of everyone and then answer them.
So the question from Niha Goyal Shrim. Namaskar. One of the slides mentioned Rahu Moon conjunct should be there, as there shouldn't be impurities in mind. However, Mother Teresa had that in her chant. That could that mean? So it means that she has a moon, Rahu moon, give you a lot of emotions. She has a lot of emotions. Yeah, not necessarily in her case impurity, but a lot of emotion. So that's why she sublimate her emotion through service to other people. And through loving, Rahu moon, loving. So she loving all the children and loving all the people that are abandoned by society. So she's a Rahu moon means she's an extraordinary mother. She's unusual mother. Yeah. Okay. So second question, Vijay Bhaskar. In chart of Shivananda, Saturn is in the Marana Karana Sthana in Lagna. Yoga Karaka Mars is debilitated in Lagna. All malefic Saturn, Rahu Mars in Lagna with such bad position. How he managed? Yes, I did say that, and I didn't go through and analyze his chant, but please look at the analysis of B.V. Raman in this book. Yeah, he's really detailed analysis there, but he is a Raja Yogi. So his strength is his moon, his Jupiter, Gajakeshari, his moon completely peaceful in the 10th house, and is a Lagna Lord. So his strength is there. And then he has all the bad guys together with himself, and then the Raja Yogi is the one that crunch them. That means that be able to oppose them. Yeah, all this indication in the chant that is difficult. Yeah, tension and stress and all this difficulty is there, and he's able to turn them around. Yeah, that's why he's a Raja Yogi. Okay, how he does it? He meditate. He do intense meditation, and he teach a lot. All the four yoga path. So that's why you see from the result he's successful in his doing, and he share with us in his 200 books about all the techniques, how he turned the negative to positive. So it's very good chant to show that even if you have some difficulty, difficult planets, you can turn it around.
We will now have to end the Q&A session. If the audience have any more questions for Mataji, I request you to post them in the comment section. Thank you again, Swami Sitaramananda Mataji, for excellent masterclass on Jyotisha counselling, yoga, psychology, and Vedanta. On behalf of Raman and Rajeswari Research Foundation, I thank you for the same. Before we end the session, I would like to take this opportunity to inform the audience that the next masterclass session is on Sunday, October 3rd, 2021. The class will be by Ms. Komila Sutton, and she will teach about Sade Sati and Saturn. See you again there. Also, if you would like to stay informed about the activities of the foundation, we encourage you to visit our website www.rrrf.in or join our Telegram channel. Namaste.